Sunday, the 4th of June 2023. This is one of that what the fuck moments, and in this one I want to talk about BRICS. Now, just keep in mind, I am not a political analyst of note, and I'm not an economic analyst of note. I'm just a guy that reads a lot, sees a lot, and I have been blessed with the ability to join the dots. And that is all. I'm a guy that thinks a lot. That is one of the main reasons why I enjoyed my life as a big biker so much. I was not a racer or something like that. I was a long distance rider. It was not weird for me to do 1,000 kilometers a day. Now, anyone that is a biker that understands, once you've pulled that helmet over your head, you're in a very enclosed world. It is you and your thoughts in that helmet and the open road in front of you. I also never installed sound systems in my helmets and walkie-talkie stuff. I tried it here and there, but I found it extremely disturbing, because those hours in the saddle in that helmet was me time. I could think without interruption, and all those hours, I've done just under 1 million kilometers on big bikes. That's a lot of hours in the saddle. That's a lot of hours in a helmet, and I love it. I'm a guy that likes to think, because to me, our minds are the most powerful tools that we were blessed with. But it's a pity so many people don't use that tool. But that is not relevant. Let's talk about BRICS. The big thing is that most of the people that are now looking and listening to the BRICS talks and all the stories around BRICS, because BRICS is in the headlines everywhere, wherever you look, see it first of all as a visible sign of the non-West world making its voice heard. And that is what they see in BRICS. They see BRICS as their opportunity to have a voice, which is correct. And there's a lot of attention paid to the commercial and trade possibilities of BRICS, which is also correct. But, and I've said it previously, Zuma didn't get us into BRICS. That's the popular notion. I am convinced that it was the Chinese and the Russians that pulled South Africa into BRICS. And they pulled South Africa into BRICS primarily because of the importance of the Cape Sea route. That is the real reason behind BRICS. Now those countries like India, China and Russia are faced with a situation that they have this partner in South Africa, part of the inner core of BRICS. But that partner is not really on par with any one of the other members, because in South Africa we've got a situation that there's a lot of racial tension, and we've got a government that promotes racism, and we've got a government that promotes the bullying and suppressing of minority rights and so forth. And if you go and you look at Russia for a start, Russia has got 190 ethnic groups. They've got close to 2,000 cultural groups. Because, and I want to explain this to the guys that don't understand, if you look at, say for instance, the white race in South Africa, yes, it is a white race which could be seen as one, but if you know the white race, And if you're a white guy or a white girl, you will understand that in this white race in South Africa is a lot, quite a number of cultural groups that make up the white nation. So cultural groups is, as far as I'm concerned, the smallest collection of people. And in Russia there are cultural groups that has got less than 200 members. But the Russian government has got zero tolerance for discrimination, and they do not disrespect the cultures. That's why you don't ever hear of ethnic violence in Russia. China's got a similar situation. But now a lot of people are going to say, yeah, what about the Uyghurs, and what about this, and what about that? Just be careful. The Western media pumps your head full of shit about what is happening in China. If you really want to know what is happening in China, you must go and you must dig deep and you must find the commentators that are living in China but has YouTube channels and so forth. And you listen to them. There was a story a few months ago where the West made you believe that the Chinese government was on the verge of a collapse because of the riots by that blank paper crowd. The reality is, I listened to a guy that lives in China, and he was on the Duran. I think it was on the Duran. And he said, he lives in a city with 45 million people. Damn it, that is as much people almost as that lives in South Africa. 45 million people in one city. And he said in his city, the protesters at the university were 20,000. 20,000 out of 45 million. Now, use your head and try and convince yourself that 20,000 people can tumble the government. It's bullshit. We are being fed with the story how the Chinese has got all this, they are controlling the population and observing the population and have the whole population under cameras and things like that. Our own country in South Africa, if you go down the street, see how many cameras is there. Go to America, how many cameras are there? You want to go into certain places, you cannot go in before you show you either your ID or something. Access control. It's normal things that happens in the West everywhere. But they make a big fucking story about it in China. So the Chinese has got their own problems, they've got their own country, but they are elevating their people out of poverty at a massive rate. And then you've got India. India has also got a lot of cultural groups, a lot of ethnic groups. But India is also growing their country. And those three, they sit with this racism driving ANC in South Africa. Now trust me, the day is going to come when those three guys are going to pull this South African guy into a little room and say, listen, that shit must now stop. We are only interested in growth, economic growth in your country. We don't want to hear this racism shit. That day is coming. Trust me, that day is coming. This ANC leadership, they got handed South Africa. They didn't fight for it. They got it. The West machined it. Don't bluff yourself. So, and they're fucking it up. Look at what they've done to the economy. Look what they have done to the economy. Our industry's fucked up. Our electricity fucked up. Everything fucked up. But let's get back to BRICS. The real problem with BRICS for the West is that BRICS is an alternative to the established global control systems. BRICS is most probably going to become a major counterweight for the United Nations. Think about that. You may be shocked when I say it. but listen to simplicity. Simple things. The United Nations was set up way back in the 40s. And over the years, the Americans has captured the United Nations. The Americans and their Western partners are running the show. Think about one thing. India today, the biggest population in the world, they don't have a seat on the Security Council. Tell me how that is fair. Tell me how that is fair representation. It is not. But I think the architects behind BRICS, they realized that to change the UN is going to be a massive task, and most probably will fail because of vested interests. So, in my mind, BRICS is the counter for the UN. That may shock you, and I can understand it, but think about it. There is a stream of countries that want to join BRICS now. And this BRICS meeting of this year, 2023, is going to be a monumental meeting. And trust me, the Americans know it. And listen to what I'm saying to you. The Americans will do everything they can to derail this coming BRICS conference. Everything. Look at the shit they pull in. The first scam that they managed to pull off was to get that warrant of arrest issued against Putin from the ICC. It is a damn scam, and the aim of it is to derail the BRICS meeting. That is what it is. Don't get yourself confused and bluffed and lied to. That is what it is. Look at the shit they're stirring here in South Africa. They started off with that false bomb scare last year. Then they came out with this Lady R bullshit. My problem is, in our country, the DA is playing into the hands of those guys. The DA is not playing into their hands, the DA are supporting them. And I mean, look at that idiot in the Cape saying to the world that they will arrest Putin. What the fuck is that? Medvedev made it clear. Arrest Putin, and it's a de facto declaration of war against Russia. Now, does this DA really think they can win a war against Russia? Do they think the Americans are going to stream in here and protect them against Russia? The Americans is having a fucking hard time to protect themselves against Russia now. So forget it. Trigger that war and we're on our own. So, be careful. Don't be bullshitted into this thing. It is common knowledge. The DA is in the pockets of the globalists. And they will do everything Washington tells them to do. They don't care about South Africa. They listen to their masters in the shithouse in Washington. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. So, to sum it up, BRICS is becoming the counterweight for the United Nations. Watch it, mark my words, it's going to happen. At this point in time, the whole BRICS focus is on the commercial side. And they are clever doing that. Because once all these countries are tied together on commercial principles and fair representation and fair trade and open trade, they will look at each other and say, listen, why the hell do we listen to the United Nations or the WHO? What do they have to say? They're Western puppets. They're out to destroy us. Let's dump them we will form our own Security Council in BRICS, the BRICS Security Council. And I've got bad news for the West. China, Russia, India, Iran will wipe the West off the table if it runs into a military confrontation. We almost just pray that nobody hits that red button, because if that happens, we're all gone. But the Chinese and the Russians are the adults in the room, and they have made it very clear. They don't have any aspirations of using nuclear weapons. It's those guys in Washington that threatens with nuclear war. It is not the BRICS members. So, on this Sunday, take into consideration what the real facts is. Yes, BRICS is built around the commercial side and the commercial needs of those countries that were sanctioned by the Americans to such an extent that they could not survive. And BRICS is now giving them breathing room. The Americans is aware of it, because BRICS is the tool that is also going to destroy the petrodollar and the dollar as the world's currency reserve. That is facts. And the Americans can't stop it. They are actually powerless against it. And you can see it when they talk and you listen to them and look at their body language. They're in a panic. Now, be careful for people that are in a panic, because they can do idiotic things in that panic. But we've got cool-headed leaders in BRICS, between Modi and Xi and Putin. Those are level-headed guys. Those are guys that understand that their countries comes before their own personal preferences. They are true patriots of their countries. And between those three, they represent a massive portion of the world population, and they represent a massive portion of the world's production capacity, and they represent a massive percentage of the world's raw materials. So, yes, and my message to the South African government, Ramaphosa, you are having a great time with driving this racism shit in South Africa. You must just understand, you are going to end up in a room between Modi, Xi and Putin, and I don't know what you're going to say to them. You are going to look like a fool. In any case, on that note, I'm going to stop it now. Think about it. The reality of BRICS is that BRICS is a major threat to the West's hegemony. And it's coming to an end, and they don't know how to do it. And but they will do everything possible to try and derail BRICS. Don't let them do it. Please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. It's very important that you share. People need to understand the message. They must see the truth. The media will not give you this. Have a great day.